Brilliant.
Okay, Hannah.
So another event done and dusted. We're just going to wrap up, and we are going to invite everyone who's still listening, or even if you watch this later, please can you put pen to paper and make a commitment. And my Diverse Ed pledge. Think about that camel case with those capital letters. If you're on Twitter, tweet it out. If you're on YouTube, put it into the comments. I'm just going to put out the threads from the 12 speakers, and then Benny's going to do some summarisation. So Audrey talked about her goal for us to have more intersectional approaches to the DEI work in schools. Abed talked about his goal for there to be more STAMR awareness for both our pupils and our staff. Nikki shared lots of goals around societal, systemic and structural awareness when it comes to the menopause. Lisa shared her goal around decolonising and diversifying the MFL curriculum. Alison shared her goal around leveraging lived experience within the curriculum. Rob shared his goal from the project around creating a global curriculum perspective. Naveed shared his goal around breaking through those ceilings that prevent leaders from rising. And Christala built on that with her goal around disrupting the leadership pipeline and breaking those molds. Esther M. talked about her goal around the impact of DEI work on the pupils and on the curriculum. Adam talked about his goal around disrupting the status quo and making us all think about who are the gatekeepers. Esther C. talked about her goal from her research around creating truly inclusive culture and ethos in our schools. And Lizzie's just finished with her goal around ADHD awareness for all. 12 brilliant speakers, Bennie. What are the threads you want to pull out?
It strikes me that we've got three strands here, and you know, there's crossovers. One of the things that I've been struck by this morning is the awareness raising that's happened on topics that we haven't necessarily covered in other events. So, you know, I haven't heard a teacher talk about stammering from their own lived experience, the idea of the menopause, the ADHD in girls. So there's an imperative here, I think, for us to listen to voices that perhaps are not kind of the traditional areas to talk about. You know, there are all of these subsections of our identities that there are some experts in, and to be a change maker, the other thread that's come out is this need for listening. You know, are we actually listening to people with lived experience in order to create those ethos, the culture in a school that is truly inclusive? Are we listening to the students? Are we listening to their cohorts? Are we their families, the communities? And then the final thread is that thread of disruption. You know, what does it mean to disrupt? How do we actually tangibly make change? So all of the speakers have touched on, you know, versions of that, you know, whether it's in an MFL curriculum, whether it's about creating an ethos in the first place or changing an ethos. So for me, those three things really resonated.
Yeah, and I'm picking out this idea of saying of what we're saying and what we're doing, and the kind of the alignment there, and moving from being passive to active, but how we hold ourselves and others accountable as well. So if we share some of our goals, then I'll do the Diverse Ed kind of collective goals, and then you and I can share our own. So one of the ways we've held ourselves to account is that we're part of the NHT collective pledge for DEI, and that was updated and we shared it a week ago. It's on our website, and a number of different national stakeholders have outlined their commitments for the year ahead. We're also one of the signatories of the Inclusion Labs pledge around diversifying governance and diversifying the library. And our book, I think, is really our goal, our collective goal, that we've got each of those contributors and voices who have outlined their manifesto, their commitment to change within the system. So if you are reading the book, like, just go to that last commitment from every single person, and we've been putting that on Insta over the last 6 months. What's your goal or goals, Bennie? I know there's probably more than one in there.
I definitely think it's to listen more, because I've got some areas that I feel like I have some expertise in, and there are other areas that I'm just really learning about. And that's not just about students, it's about adults as well. But for me, I think it's to go back to finishing the diversity in the curriculum book, because I'm learning so much. And even today, I've picked up things that I just think I want to include. So I've got a publishing deadline of April. So we've got to make sure that happens. So that's a real goal for me, because I want to capture people's voices and get them out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And my two goals, I think, going back to my reflection on Abed's contribution, and Richard, who's behind the scenes, and I talk about this quite a lot, about how can we make the website and our events as inclusive and accessible as possible. We found a loop this week that unless we have 1,000 followers on YouTube, we can't put subtitles on. So there's little things like that that we consciously want to do differently. But I think I'm really going to take stock of making sure that we're making reasonable adjustments for our speakers at our events when they're virtual as well. And a personal goal of mine is that people will know that I'm doing executive coaching training, and I'm really looking for some men to coach. My network is so female heavy. If you are a male leader listening to this today and you want some coaching, please reach out. I really want to work with more men who are leaders who are doing the DEI work. So just some signposting about what's coming up in the next few weeks. We've got a couple of free webinars this week, one around World Values Day, another one around DEI metrics. That was another thread that came up. And after half term, we've got a schools briefing around trans inclusion and safety in schools. And Bennie and I are then co-hosting the virtual conference Diversity in the Curriculum. So there's lots and lots of ways to get involved. We will share those on Twitter. We'll put them into an email to you all when the recording goes live on our website this week. But thank you so much to our 12 brilliant speakers today and to everyone who joined us both live and with the recording to interact with everyone. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the next event in the spring.